getting ready to glue down or adhere the plenum to the dash. I 3D printed these little extensions basically to hook up the 3-inch hose to for the air conditioning and heat. So I was able to just print a little basically attachment point. I did that on both sides, and then I adhesive caulked those in, and now we're getting ready to do the plenum. Sometimes no matter how much you mock stuff up and think you have it perfect and you measure and measure again, you end up gluing down your plenum a 1/4 inch off. I just barely freaking missed here. So I did have to cut my dash. What sucks is I had the space on the other side and I could have popped the whole thing under there, but I missed it. So it is what it is. Hopefully it doesn't cause any problems with the top. Hamilton Shop Dog. But anyway, I'm bummed out because I had it. What I did is I double side taped the plenum down to begin with, and then fit the dash with the double side tape, pulled the double side tape. Then when I glued it, I must have just been just off my line. And like I said, it's probably not even a 1/4 inch. It looks worse on the video than it actually is. I had it, missed it. Yesterday we attached the plenum to the dash. This is what I used, the liquid nails. Fuse it, all surface, bonds almost everything. Right now it seemed to have done a pretty good job on the plenum. So right now the plenum is attached. Now I'm gonna try to actually fit my dash around it. I trimmed a ton off of the plenum. I basically just left myself a small lip all the way around. A lot of guys I see doesn't look like they're trimming anything off, but I trimmed basically everything except about a 1/2 inch off of the whole thing. So now we're gonna try and fit the dash, and I still gotta get some holes in here to figure out how I'm gonna go to my defroster, which I haven't figured out yet. Keep you posted. I've got the dash actually bolted in place now on both sides. It's my final fitment. It's a lot of maneuvering back and forth. You think you got it and you really don't. The dash isn't exactly the best piece of molded fiberglass. It's got a lot of whoops in it. It's really distorted in all kinds of different places. It's not very symmetrical. But here's what I did. I took a measurement from the door sill to the top right here and tried to get that as close as I could on both sides, which on my car ended up being almost exactly 13 inches to that lip. I'm very close on both sides. I'm less than 1/8 of an inch off. Then I came over here and I lined up, I squared myself off to the dash here, kind of by the plenum area, and came out to that weld. And I ended up almost exactly at like 8 3/4, 8 7/8 to that weld. And I ended up at the exact same place on that side. And then I also measured from the dash to this cutout for the AC, and you end up at like almost exactly 3 inches. I'm off by plus or minus 1/8 inch on either side, but that's as close as I could get it. What I did learn is because it's got so many whoops in it and stuff, you're gonna end up trimming things, and I found out I really probably didn't have to. This would have just barely cleared the plenum, but not the little lip where the plenum is glued on, so I probably still would have had to trim some. I am hoping that the top will basically hide all of this because I did leave the curve in the dash. I didn't end up cutting that out. But if it doesn't, I mean, I'm still pretty happy with the fitment. I will say that this does hit the plenum. So there's not enough clearance here. This is being pushed up by the plenum. I'm not sure if everyone's does that, if that's just the way it's gonna fit, but mine does hit the plenum, and it could go down further if that wasn't in the way, but it is in the way. So I'm just gonna leave it that way and hope everything works out once I put the spider on. You know, once the spider is on there, the best of my understanding is that the spider holds this part down. So that's it. That's my final answer on my dash fitment. It ended up, I also did take a center dimension. I ended up I was shooting for 3/4 inch right here on each side. And again, I'm right to where the bend is, and I'm almost exact on both sides. So that's as square as I could figure out how to get it. So if that helps anybody, that's how I did it. You're like 3/4 inch, almost an inch on both sides, like 7/8 on both sides. I ended up pretty good centered with my steering wheel. almost exact. So there it is, final dash fitment.